Hello and welcome to Tricks of the Astray channel. Today is the 30th of July 2017, and in today's feature we have a so-called dude called Sean Friday. Now Sean Friday happens to be I don't know if I'm calling it a she because I'm gonna show you with proof that it's actually a she. That he's been dating Demi Moore, the former wife of Bruce Willis. Now, before you guys even start asking about Demi Moore is female. She has all the facts that show that she's female. She's 100% woman. But what caught my attention about Sean Friday is because I seem to notice a trend in Hollywood. For example, Bridget Nielsen, who happened to be the wife of Sylvester Stallone, when they got divorced, and Bridget Nielsen, sorry to say, started dating. I found out that the so-called dude that she was dating is actually a woman. I don't know if it's a trend, but I know because these guys are all in the so-called lower strata of the Illuminati. It could be some sort of, what I'm coming to understand right now is some sort of a Freemasonic ritual that they have to go through to abide. So, because it doesn't make any sense that Bridget Nielsen divorced Sylvester Stallone and then started dating a so-called female who's dressed up like a man, and then Demi Moore is doing the same thing. But that just to push that aside, we'll come back to that later on. So if it's your first time on our channel, I'd like to welcome you, but you have to pause the video right here because I need you two guys to watch a video before you watch this one, because if you don't watch the video that I'm talking about right now, which happens to be the primer video, you're not gonna understand a lot of the things that I'm saying. It's gonna sound like science fiction. You're gonna have so many questions. So if it's your first time on the channel, I want you to pause this video right here and go look for the primer video, and let me show you how to get to the primer video. Here's the primer video right here. Okay, it's the oldest video that's gonna be on this channel. I've actually created a playlist for it as well, so you can go through the playlist on the channel and you find the primer and you can watch that. So also, if you're solely interested in transvestigation, because even though we feature a lot of transgenders on this channel, the channel isn't really about transgenders. It's about trying to make you understand your world, so you can connect the dots, so you can understand that everything that's happening around you is connected and it's happening for a reason. My video isn't loading, the primer video I wanted to show you guys, but let me just pause it right here and see what's wrong with it. Okay, it's loading now. So this is the primer video. Okay, so if you're solely interested in transvestigation, like I said earlier, there is a link, there's a link in the description section of any video on this channel, and I'm going to show you the link right now. So here is the link. So if you're solely interested in transvestigation, I need you guys to get this document. If you're also concerned about the fact that you want to live your life in the natural order of things, you need to have this document. So when you click on the link in the description section of any video that you pick up on this channel to watch, it will take you to this document. It will say male versus female visual differences. The document is about 44 pages long, but it's not going to take you a lot of time to read through it. It's probably going to take you like 30 minutes, I guarantee. It just has a lot of pictures, so you need to have this document. And also, you need to watch the series, because a lot of people come up with questions and say, can you investigate this and investigate that? This is an education channel. I expect that by the time that you're on this channel, in a couple of days, you should be able to know the visual differences between male and female with the help of this document. So you don't need to ask me any questions. You can do the transvestigation on your own. It's an education channel, so get educated. So also, you need to watch the primer video. Sorry, you need to watch the real gender, not transgender or transsexual series on this particular channel before you ask me any questions about if someone is a transgender or not. I would prefer that you send me an email than leave a comment. So look for the email in the about section of the channel and send me an email instead of leaving a comment. Okay, so please, I want, if you're solely interested in transvestigation, you have to have this document, like as I mentioned before. so you can do your transvestigation on your own without requiring or needing my help. Not that I don't want to help, but I would rather that you guys know how to do it on your own. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to say. So before I get into the video, because this is a continuation series of the myth of whiteness, and this is actually the part 4. So there are some warnings I need to put out before I continue, or before you continue watching this video. So one, the first warning is that if you're racist or you're prejudiced, I've defined the meaning of racism and prejudice in the Shakira video, which you ought to watch, which is a part of the myth of whiteness series. Okay, you need to watch that video. I explained that properly, because this channel is about truth, and sometimes truth is uncomfortable and it can be hurting, because we've been so brainwashed for a long time since we were kids that we can actually not think anymore. So for example, let me just say something, just throw something out there so you can understand that all of us have basic intelligence that's been given to us by God Almighty, and that we can think things through. But when you've been watching too much TV and all the information that you're getting is from TV and so-called fake books and fake science, then you're not going to understand anything. So what you need to do, guys, is switch off the TV, go outside and look at your world. Forget about what everybody has been telling you on TV or what you have heard from so and so and so. Go outside and look at your own world with your own eyes. And then you will start seeing, and then you start understanding stuff. Okay? You watch way too much TV and so engrossed in all the TV and fake books and fake science and what people say without you having your own opinion about it. Go outside and look at your world. Take a good look at the people around you. Take a look at the environment, and you start learning and seeing things. So why am I saying all of this? So for example, when I was growing up much more younger, during the time of the Gulf War, when the United States of America and the so-called alliance went to the Gulf to take away Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait. Now, growing up, because I was pretty much young around the time, and I would watch the news and see the tanks moving in, and there were so-called like firefights, and we would see a reporter. I remember as young children, we would see reporters reporting sometimes live from the scene of warfare. You happen to see that all the time on TV. There was a war and there's a reporter reporting live from there. So when I was much younger, so this is what I'm trying to say, that God gives us all of intelligence. We used to wonder, these people aren't scared that they're gonna get shot, all right? And they're reporting live from a gun zone or a fight zone or a war zone. Aren't they scared for their lives? So those are simple, basic, knowledge that God gives unto every one of us. But because we watch way too much TV, we actually come to believe that when you see these reporters, in these live war zones, that they are actually brave people. We've come to accept that fact. But as a child, I remember thinking about it and say, it doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't this person be scared for their lives that they're going to be shot? It's because most of the things that you watch on TV are orchestrated. They are not real and happening organically. So for example, let's say you always hear of this terrorism on the TV, and someone just happens to have a phone or a camera out at that spot in time. Let's just ask ourselves simple logical questions. Do we walk around with our phones out and the camera turned on? Does that make sense? So you have to see that all these things are orchestrated by the Vatican to control and shape your world. And one of the other things that they use to control and shape your thinking and control you is history. So history is very, very important. Is one of the most important things that everybody needs to look into. We can't just accept the history that's being told to us, the official stories by the Vatican and the so-called media, which they own. That's why I encourage people to start writing about yourselves. Start writing about what you know. Because every time someone dies, the knowledge of what they know dies with them. Because they didn't put it down in books. That's why the Bible had told the children of Israel to write the 10 Commandments and put it as a tablet around their wrists and carry it on their neck, so it would be their history. He told them, write about yourselves, because when you die, that history goes with you. And since the devil knows how to manipulate and use history to control people, that's what he does. And I'm actually snitching on him. I'm gonna snitch on him today, or example, because a lot of people, who worship the so-called Luciferian religion, from the Roman Catholics down to is it Buddhist, or Islam, and the rest of the other major religions, or the so-called native religions across all the countries in the world, don't actually know that the devil that they worship is actually a black dude. He's a black man. They don't know that. But he's misconstrued so much that people don't understand that, the devil is a black spiritual man. When I say black spiritual man here, I'm talking about he's not made of flesh and blood. He doesn't have blood running through his veins. But if you saw him, you would saw a black man with 2 eyes, nostrils, walking. His body is not flesh. It's made of something else. It's not flesh like ours. But he's a man regardless. Okay? So and just to show, let me show you the article that you would need to read, which I'm going to put a description up, the link to in the description section, so you can actually read up on that. It's called I think it's the Nakash note. So let me pull up that document so you can see it. So in this particular document, which I'm going to put a link up, which you can read up on this channel, if you've watched the part 2 and part 3 of the Myth of Whiteness, I put up this document also. But I just want to show you something in which, this guy who wrote this stuff it likens the body of they saying that all spiritual beings have the same body. All right. And he likens the appearance of God who appeared to Daniel, right? That this is how the sons of God, that means the angels, looked like. He said his body was like a beryl, his face like the appearance of lightning, his eyes like torches of fire, his arms and feet like burnished bronze. And let me just show you what burnished bronze looks like. So because I'm going to actually use that to show you, talk about something else later on. Okay, just hold on a second. So here is because one thing that the Vatican, because the Vatican owns Google that we use, they own everything. They always try to hide facts, and Google helps them hide facts as well. So things that it would be pertinent for you to understand and know, Google probably hides it, because if you go googling for bronze images, you're gonna see something that looks different. So for this particular example, I googled the bronze images of Abraham Lincoln, and as you can see right here, a bronze image is black and dark. We're gonna come back to this later on, but I just wanted to show you that example. You can see these are not white images. They're black, brown, tarnished, or whatever the case might be, but they ain't white. So when you go back to this on a cache story, which I'm going to put a link up so you can study it and read, you can see here he says he's describing God Almighty. He said his eyes like touches of fire, his arms, feet like burnished bronze. And this guy says that this is what the semblance of the angels looked like. All right. So that's why I'm telling you that the devil himself, Satan, is a black dude. But people who believe in the myth of whiteness wouldn't know that. So let me go back to what I was trying to say, because I was trying to put up some warnings before you can continue watching this particular video. So the first warning was, if you're racist or you're prejudiced, all right, I've defined that in the Shakira video, then you need to pause the video right here and don't continue watching. Okay. Another thing, another warning that I'm going to put up is that there are channel rules in effect on this channel. You can't label someone a transgender without providing facts and evidence, and those evidence must have links to the pictures or videos that you used, and those links must be centered about the female skeletal structure, which is designed to give birth, because a woman is designed to give birth. She has an arch in her back because her pelvis is tilted forward, and the arch is also extra support for the weight of carrying children. She also has her hips below her crotch, so she can actually push the baby out without no problems. She also has She has a what's the next thing I wanted to say? She has a wide pubic arch of 120 degrees or more. All right, so she can actually so the baby can have free entrance into this world. So if your comments do not start with that, showing the design of the female skeletal structure, which includes an arch in the back, hips below the crotch, a wide pubic arch, a pelvis tilted forward. If your comments start with anything else besides that, and you start saying stuff like, the person has an Adonis belt, but you probably heard that on so many channels. You know the name already when which channel I'm talking about. Or you talk about, say, the person has a long torso or long arms, or the jawline is too strong, the index or ring fingers are too long. Your comment is gonna be deleted, or you will be blocked from making any further comments on this channel. So we don't deal with mudslinging or name calling. We provide facts. In short, if you can't back up your statement with facts, don't even say it. It doesn't make any sense on this particular channel, because this is an educational channel. We're not mudslinging someone's name. We have to provide facts and show you evidence to why we label someone a transgender. So I want you guys to take note of that. Okay? So since we've gotten those warnings out of the way, the next thing I want to say is, as usual, before I get into the video, is that this is one is not going to be a long video, so I didn't put up any warning for a long video. Is that we are not against transgenders, all right? So if you've reached the age of adulthood and you decide to live your life any type of way, because God in his mercies has given unto us free will and reign over our lives, we have nothing against you. We have no authority. No authority is given unto us to judge anybody. We just merely exposing people caught in a lie, and we're revealing them to you, which ought to be the case. And then we're also trying to make you understand your world. And as usual, like I said, the people who are behind the organized transgending of people and putting them on TV for you to view, I'm going to show you that an example in a quick second about Sean Friday, and how the media, makes you or sucks you into the belief of thinking that these people are actually men, or actually the sex that they claim when you see them on TV is actually the Vatican. The Vatican owns everything. They have the organizations, they have the hospitals, the surrogacy centers. They have everything, all right? Like I said, the Vatican owns almost everything in this world. They have their name in everything. And if you've watched the part two and part three of the Myth of Whiteness, I put up a document there which I said that you should go study. All right, a document will give you like references in which shows you that the Vatican owns the whole world, including the United States. They lay claim on it. Okay. So I'm not going to put up the description because I expect that you should watch these videos. Now let me just show you the videos that you need to watch before you continue watching this video. Besides the primer video, you need to watch the let me see right here, you need to watch the Shakira video. Shakira, transgender, transsexual. It says Vatican runs racism and hates the Bible. That's part of it. You need to watch the Shakira video, as I'm highlighting there. When you're done watching the Shakira video, that means for you to have a full understanding of what I'm saying, you need to watch these videos that I'm showing you. You need to watch the Shakira video. Then when you're done with the Shakira video, you need to watch the Michelle Obama video. This video right here, and as I'm pointing at with my mouse, you need to watch that. That's the Myth of Whiteness part 1. Okay, when you're done watching the Myth of Whiteness part 1, then you need to watch the Myth of Whiteness part 2 right here, which features Derek Hugh also. All right. And when you are done with watching Derek Hugh, the transgender transsexual Myth of Whiteness part 2, then you need to watch the Derek Hugh transgender transsexual 2 Myth of Whiteness part 3 before you can come back to this video. Without watching those videos that I've mentioned, you're not going to understand, because I'm not going to repeat what I already said on those videos on this particular video. Okay, so let me show you some few things just to make you understand or what I was trying to say, that the Vatican promotes people making you think that they are actually the sex that they claim. And you can pause the video at any point in time and copy out that link. And it says here 5 things to know about Demi Moore's new man, Sean Friday. And as you can see, it's from ABC News. That means it was a news feature at that point in time. And the date is June 4th, 2014. As you can see here, it's talking about this so-called female as a dude. They're trying to represent, they're trying to infiltrate your mind, to control your mind. There's a reason for it. Because like I've said before, if you watch The Myth of Whiteness, part 1, part 2, part 3, and the Secret of It up to 9, you understand that the Vatican is run by devils and demons. Okay, I've explained that a lot, so I'm not going to go through that. So you can see how the media paints a picture, a false narrative to you. They say he's younger. They say more certainly has a type. Right? They're trying to make you think that they're even telling you the truth. It's subliminally that this person, that Demi Moore right here, has a type, and that's a woman. Okay, and they say while Kuchi was nearly 16 years her junior, Friday seems to be even younger at 27 years old. He's about 24 years younger than she is. Then they say he's a drummer, which ought to be she's a drummer, because actually maybe she's had it with actors instead. Friday is a drummer for the LA-based rock band Dead Sarah. So you can imagine that you're listening to crazy music from crazy people. That's a band there that this female belongs to called Dead Sarah. Then they say she loves the vine. I'm putting it right because it's actually she. By the end of this video, you'll see she. And she loves the vine. Friday's not prolific on Twitter, but he does love Vine, right? The musician posted a number of silly videos from his Christmas celebration, right? And these people think that, celebration, when you hear Christmas, you think it's Christian. Christmas has nothing to do with Christianity. Sorry. I'm trying to be political correct. Christmas has nothing to do with Bible believing people, because Christianity is a term that the world gave to believers. They never call themselves Christians. It's just the term that the world, or the people who were non-believers, gave to them. All right. They say she also loves tattoos. That should be the right thing. So this one's pretty obvious. In addition to the giant tattoo he has on his heart chest, then he's close with Skrillex. I need to check out what Skrillex looks like too as well. We say before he became the drummer for Dead Sarah, Friday played with Skrillex. So I'm just showing you how the Vatican, paints, controls your mind, by feeding you garbage and nonsense, all right, into sucking you into believing that these people are actually the sex they claim to be, all right. So let me now skip over and talk about what I missed on the Myth of Whiteness. Just a few things that I had to fill in before, just to make you understand. Just some few thoughts that I thought I didn't share on the Myth of Whiteness, because part 2 and part 3, because it was such a long video. So that's what I want to share to you, and I'm gonna move over now, all right, to that. So on the Myth of Whiteness part 2, I talked about explaining what the female gait, why a woman walks from side to side and she tends to swing her hips. I used the 2 cars to explain that. I gave the standard that the Mini Cooper is the standard for a man, based on the wheelbase. The wheelbase meaning the distance between the front wheel and the rear wheel, which represents the pubic arch of a male. And then I also use the Rolls Royce as the standard for females. The wheelbase being the pubic arch, the distance between the front wheel and the rear wheels. Now, what I forgot to mention, I just thought I should add this, is because, for example, when you watch female gymnastics, for example, in the Americas, which have been men for the past couple of years, especially like the Simone Biles group and the Ali Raisman group and all of that won the Olympics, you tend to see that they are faster than the females, because besides the fact that men have more muscle mass, the pubic arch also helps with the speed. I explained that already, so you need to watch that in the part 2 and part 3. So that's the reason why, because the wheelbase is shorter for a Mini Cooper, it's more agile. It can turn quickly and move in around much more faster than a Rolls Royce, because a Rolls Royce is going to take much more work to turn around and be agile, because the pubic arch, or the wheelbase as I liken it to, is much more wider. Does it make sense? So that's why, for example, you can see how this gymnast in Simone Biles and Ali Raisman can jump and twist and turn and beat all the other females. It's all because of that pubic arch being shorter, and that's one of the benefits that they get when the United States gets to transgender people and win the Olympics by cheating on them, by putting up men as women to compete against them, and based on how their pubic arches are, they are much more faster than regular females. So that's just what I forgot to mention on that video, and that's what I wanted to tell you. So I'll talk about something else, and then we'll move on to Sean Friday. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, which I forgot to mention in the Myth of Whiteness, was, some people, after maybe you've watched the whole Myth of Whiteness Part 2 series, you now tend to wonder, how did the so-called, white supremacists, Vatican, manage to take over and kill so many people and be successful in subjugating the native aboriginal peoples of the world as slaves? So now, to answer that question, because I just thought that I should put this on there, because I want people to get the full understanding to understand. So I use this picture for example. As you can see, that the men, I've explained the fact that what they do was, put the men, kill the men and rape the babies and change the genetic makeup. So what they did was, because during the time, like I explained before, that Europe was in such a crisis, Black Europe, because they were fighting and everything else, and destabilized the whole region and gave the opportunity for the white Asiatics who invaded through from northern India down into Europe to enter into Europe and take over Europe and take over the control structures of the black monarchies of Europe, and take over the Vatican in which they used to run. So what happened was this: during that time, the discovery of gunpowder and guns came into play. So, for example, so how they would make enslave so many people was that they would come in, when they came into Europe, when they followed the blacks who were fleeing from Europe during the Europe crisis, in which they were fighting, and other people were fleeing away from Europe and trying to find new continents or new lands to stay in. When they came over and take over, they brought the technology of guns. So it's even still the case in today's world. You can see that the white so-called Western nations are stockpiling guns. They have so many ridiculous inventions and guns. So that's how they came to, that's how they were able to subjugate the black native aboriginal people of the world, including the United States. Because what they did was, when they came into a place, they would just show you how powerful they are. Because you can remember, you should know that all these aboriginal people were just fighting with regular swords, and even though they knew how to fight with fire and create fire from like slime and other stuff like that, and use it in warfare, but it wasn't killing at that kind of rate. So what happened was this: when these guys came in, when this white supremacist Vatican came into any nation or whatsoever, they came in with a gun. So imagine, these people have never seen a gun before, and all of a sudden they fire one and someone falls dead flat. They would just line up the whole, they would just show you an example just quickly, just like they came in and they shot someone, right? You became afraid because you've never seen anything like that. So that's how they subjugated the people as slaves. Because when you see this guy, this so-called white supremacist dude, like this one right here in this picture, come up with a gun and just shoots you dead, they've never seen that kind of stuff. And they could shoot like 10, 20 people dead as an example. Everybody became subservient. So that's how they ruled over the native aboriginal peoples of the world, the black native aboriginal peoples of the world, by the use of a gun. It's because nobody can fight with a gun, and they're still doing that today. The United States is known to have the most advanced guns, including all the so-called Western nations like China and the rest. It's just horrible. So that's just what I wanted to make you guys to understand how this was possible. As you can see from this picture, these guys are in chains. They are in chains because this dude or somebody who's around them is carrying a gun, and they know that they can fight with a gun. So that's how they were able to be that successful. I just thought I should let you guys know that. So just to answer all your pertinent questions. So I move on to the next thing. So now I saw this article, and just to show you that the white supremacist Vatican, which hides behind the cloak of racism and enslaving the world because they're doing the work of the devil because they love the devil. I saw this article and I just thought the article here was written on March 30, 2017, and it says here China has an irrational fear of black invasion, bringing drugs, crime, and interracial marriage. So you can see that racism is very rife and alive even in places like China because the white Vatican knows its history. They know that they all came from Asia, all right? So they have to protect their base in which they launch from. So they naturally know that the natural color and tendency of a human being is to be black, all right? So they're scared of black. They don't want black folk intermingling because I mean there's this proverb which black people usually say that blacks don't die but they multiply, right? That is actually very, very true because the natural tendency of human beings is to be black, which is their natural color. So as you can see right here, all right, this was an article in which, I mean, they're getting worried that the world's gonna get darker, and they're fighting it with racism. So if you read this, you can pause the video and copy out the link right there and go read up for yourself, so you actually see that what I'm actually telling you is true. And it's an article from Quartz, which is another Vatican-owned media website. Now, if you go into the reading this, I mean, this is horrible. Just to show you what's going on, it says in March, amid the pomp of China's annual rubber stamp parliament meetings in Beijing, a politician proudly shared with reporters his proposal on how to solve the black problem. Sorry, let me read again. The proposal on how to solve the problem of the black population in Guangdong. The province is widely known in China to have many African migrants. So can you believe that? So racism is very much rife and alive. But the devil, Satan himself is a very stupid dude because he's playing so many pieces of the puzzle. He doesn't know how to fix every puzzle. Does it make sense? So he wants to make people rich. He wants to own the world. They're using money and using China, and the rest to create the economy and the wealth. But at the same time, since China is trying to sell and buy or sell to everybody, right? And then they also want to try to control the influx of people that they're selling this stuff, their equipments to. It's just nonsense. It's just horrible. The devil is very, very dumb. He's a stupid fellow. He should have just given up, and just quit, but he won't. And one of the things I wanted to tell you guys is that, there's a lot of evil going on in this world. You probably asked the question, why does God not do something about it? Why are people dying by their droves? Doesn't he care? Doesn't he give a damn that people are suffering? Like when you hear of all the injustice that's been created to people all around the world, it doesn't matter what color of skin that they are. You ask the question, why? And God, why does God let the devil do all this? It's because you have to understand that God loves his creation. Even though he despises the devil, he still has a certain amount of love for him because he created. He doesn't want to destroy anybody. He's a God of love. So even though he's watching the despicable things that the devil is doing, it hurts him. And that's why you have to understand that at the end of time, the devil is going to be the last person that God deals with. That shows you the amount of love that God has for him. But there are certain laws about things. Forgiveness is meant for human beings only. Spiritual beings can be forgiven when they make a mistake. I mean, that's just the way God operates. But even then, he still loves the devil. And then he's going to be the last person who's going to be taken care of at the end of time. Because of that love, it hurts him that he has to do it, but he has to do it. So I'm just letting you know, just trying to answer some of your pertinent questions so you can understand what I'm saying. So the next thing I want to show you is, for example, people often, say they are believers. And if you're a believer and you deny that the image of God is black, because the Bible clearly shows you that he's a black dude, which I'm going to read to you now. If you clearly, if you deny that God is black and that the image of man made in the image of God is a black man or black people in general, if you're racist or you're prejudiced incorrectly against black folk, you're denying your humanity because you are black. And that makes you a hypocrite if you say you're a believer. And let me actually show you the definition of what the word hypocrite means so you can actually understand what I'm saying. So here is the meaning of what I mean by a hypocrite. A hypocrite is a person, right, who acts in contradiction to his or her own stated beliefs. So you can say that you believe in the God of the 1611 King James Bible or the 1599 Geneva Bible and say that you hate or you're prejudiced against black folk because you are black also. We are all black. You just lost the color. So if you say you believe in God and then you deny that that you are black and you hate black folk or black people, you're denying your humanity and you're denying the God that you say that you actually believe in, and that makes you a hypocrite. So let me actually read to show you that God is actually a black man. It's actually right there in the Bible. So what place I'm going to read, I'm reading from Revelations chapter number 1. Okay, you can pause the video and pick up the King James Bible, which I do recommend, or the Geneva Bible, either the 1599 or the 1611 King James Bible or any other edition of the King James Bible, as long as it doesn't say New King James, right? And you can read up and see what I'm saying. So I'm reading from Revelations chapter 1, and I'm reading from verse number 13 down, and it says, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool. So it's showing, is the white like wool here is showing you a description of the hair. And you have to know that black folk have hair like wool, nappy hair like wool. If you cut the hair, it's just like sharing the wool from a sheep. Okay, the texture of the hair. So don't get it confused, because some people read this and say it's talking about the color of the hair. No, it's talking about the texture, because as you can see here, it also says as white as snow, right? So the first sentence here, his head and his hairs were white like wool, like you would see a great nappy haired man. Then he's telling you it's as white as snow as the color, giving you the description of the texture of the hair, wool, and its color. And it says, let's keep on reading. It says, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Right? Remember, I read that to you in the Nakash notes when Daniel was trying to describe God Almighty himself. He says, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. So it's giving you the description of brass, and it's also giving the description saying burn, so you can make no mistake that you're looking at a black man, a black spiritual man. So let me just show you again what a bronze statue looks like. This is a bronze statue of Abraham Lincoln. So if this Bible right here says burned in a furnace, that means this bronze is not even black enough for it. It's much more darker from the explanation of the King James Bible right here. That means it says burn, brass, fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, because anything that you burn is black. So that means this bronze statue is not even black enough to describe the way God looks. And like I've said before, we are all shades of black, not brown, because black is the concentration of all color. If you go into your color spectrum and add all the colors that you have, red, blue, yellow, green, whatever, what comes out is black. So if you say you're a believer and you believe in Yehoshua, not talking about Jesus or Jehovah here, because those names have been misinterpreted or illy translated by the people who translated the Bible. I'm talking about Yehoshua, which is his name. Okay? If you say you believe in Yehoshua and that you're of any, and you believe that you're white, okay, and you despise black people, or you despise the color black or whatsoever, and that means you're despising your own self. You're a hypocrite. You're despising God. You're despising the image of God which he created in a man, a black man. We are all black, irrespective of the color of your skin. You just lost the ability to produce the melanin that makes you black. So if you say that, you're a hypocrite. You don't actually believe in God Almighty. And when He comes, He's going to show you that you don't actually believe. So those are the fine details that I thought I did miss on saying in the Myth of Whiteness series. I don't know if I'm gonna have any much more series on this, because I think I've properly handled this properly, so you can understand that we are all black. It doesn't matter if you're light skinned. I'm showing you a true history and showing you the people who are behind using the denotation of being white as a political reason, and hiding behind it to perpetuate all the wickedness in this world, which happens to be the Vatican. So with that, now I now switch gears to the so-called female in Sean Friday, who happens to be, I don't know if it's still is the girlfriend of Demi up till now. So let's go. So as usual, I'm gonna play a clip to show you where the female hip is at, and I'll play the clip. And this is how female get into clothes, standard anywhere in the world. As you can see, that's a woman flaring downwards, and the widest point as she's flaring downwards towards her pelvis, it's always her hips, and the hips are below the crotch. So you can see right there, the female's hips is below the crotch, and a tape goes around to measure that hips. And that's how a woman fits into clothes, standard anywhere in the world. Without that, women can't fit into their clothes because you wouldn't have the right measurements, all right? So she's going to turn around for you to see where the female hip is at. All right. So she turns around, and as you can see right there, the widest point is just below the, just slightly below the bum line, but above the crotch. Okay. So then now I now refer you to our next document. This is a document advice that you should have, so you can actually understand the visual differences between a woman and a man. This is a female to my left. As you can see, she has an arch in her back. The arch of a woman starts just below the shoulder blades and starts dipping. Just before it gets to the navel, it starts turning out into the pelvis. And because the pelvis is tilted forward, is an extra support for the weight of carrying children. Men don't have an arch in their backs. A man's back is always going to be straight. If a man's back wants to arch, it's going to arch outside in the shape of a D or a P. Okay, if a man tries to forcefully put an arch in his back, it's going to create weird angles, and you're going to know that this is a dude trying to forcefully arch his back. I scroll back into the document so to show you that it doesn't matter if a woman is big or small. So a woman's back is always going to arch more than a man, because the female spinal cord or vertebrae is much more flexible than that of a man, and that all has to do with the weight of carrying children or babies. All right, so if a female arches her back outside, it's going to arch much more than that of a man, that it looks like a humpback. If she arches it inside, it's going to arch much more, that it's going to look much more like you're going to see that deep C line inside the back of a female. All right, so I scroll down to show you that it doesn't matter if the female is big or small, there always has to be an arch in the back. And I'll give you one more detail on Sean Friday. My stuff is loading, it's pretty slow, so bear with me. So it doesn't matter if the female is big or small. There's a small female to my right and a big female to my left, but you can still see there's an arch in the back shaped like a C, and the pelvis is tilted forward. Doesn't matter if the female has muscles, like I'm going to show you a muscular female as I scroll down into the document. As you can see here, there's two muscular females, and they all have an arch in their back. Muscular female, arch in the back. Now, one more thing I want to use on this document, which I usually don't use, but because of Sean Friday is a special case, is to show you that a female's elbows, all right? A female's elbows always follows the contours of her body, so I want you to take note of that. And also, a female's elbows are always going to rest just below, just above where her waist or hip starts, all right? And the elbows are always going to align with where the female indentation or curve length actually shows in the body. So I'm scrolling up the document to show you what I'm saying. So a female's elbows like this will always align with her curve. and follow the contours of the body. And a female's hands always angles out, following the contours of the body from the elbow. So if you're a woman and you pick up your hand, your arms, right, straight up towards your face, you'll find out that from your elbows that it's angling out, because the elbows always have to follow the contours of the body and rest just above the hips. So we move over now to Sean Friday to show you this particular dude is actually a female. So as you can see right here, Sean Friday's hands, right? First of all, you can look at the shoulders. The arms are tucked inside the body, and they're following the contours of the body. As you can see, this is where his female indentation is at, and you can see it's way above the navel, and he's flaring out because this is a woman. You can see the short shoulders, and you can see the stance. That's a female stance, not a male stance. It's not an effeminate man or homosexual man. It's actually a woman. And then the tricks of the trade is that they try to cover this thing up with tattoos and make it look like you give it that kind of bad boy look, so you can't actually know that you're looking at a woman. But this is a woman, and Demi Moore is dating this thing and telling you it's a dude. Look at how the arms follow the contours of the body, all right? Look at the female indentation above the waist, and these are the hips. See, it's flaring downwards. It's wearing boxers, so you don't actually see the hips below it. Okay, some more pictures, and this is how they deceive you. You can still see the Q angle right here, that this is the Q angle of a female, and Demi Moore is hogging this thing and making you actually think that you're looking at a male dude. And probably some women over there are going to be falling for this and think, oh, it's a nice looking dude, but it's actually a woman. Forget about the beard and everything else. They're telling you a lie. It's fed too much testosterone and it's growing the beard, because that's what usually happens. Testosterone gives you secondary male characteristics, because women naturally are supposed to have a little bit of testosterone for their muscles and for the baby that they're going to carry. So a woman doesn't pack enough testosterone in her body like a man does. So testosterone, if the levels are elevated, is going to give a female secondary male characteristics. It doesn't change the fact that she's still going to be a female, because all that's determined at the time of conception, when a sperm meets an egg. But this is how the media lies to you, and Demi Moore is lying that she's dating a dude when it's actually a woman dressed up in a suit. But you can still see, even through the clothes, that it's still got that hourly female figure. All right, another picture, and here is him, and he has an arch in his back, but he's trying to fake it from the way he's standing. But you can still see there's an arch right there. You can still see the female hip, and see how the arms follow the contours of the body. The shoulders are way too short, not extending outside of the torso of the body, because this is actually a female. And you can see the Q angle and how acute that Q angle is going, because it's the Q angle of a female. And Demi Moore is parading around with this thing, trying to make you think that she's dating a dude, but it's actually a woman. Another picture, and it's still the same picture, but I didn't pull up too many pictures of Sean Friday. But I don't need to convince you any much more further. Even taking a look at the chest, she has the curves of the pecs, which all females have, because the pec muscles of a female is not designed to be massive or pack mass like that of a man, because it has less muscle. It's designed to carry mammary tissue and breast milk. And you take a look at those nipples. Those are the nipples of a woman, not of a dude. And see the way it's standing and the way everything. This is a female. All right. So I didn't have a lot of pictures on this. I just wanted to bring that to your attention because of the fact that this thing is dating a so-called celebrity or A-lister, Demi Moore. I just wanted people to see that. So with that, I come to the end of today's video. If you've learned something, that's great. And that ends the Myth of Whiteness Part 4. I hope not to have a Part 5, but that may do it for now. Alright, so with that, if you liked the video, you can subscribe and stay tuned. If you didn't like it, don't leave no comments. Just let us be. Don't leave any stupid comments. But I'll leave you with these words all the same. Look with your eyes and see with your brain. Thanks, and bye-bye.